I want to welcome everyone to this episode of Inspiration to Prosper. I'm excited today because I have a very, very special guest, a really good young brother who's up and coming. His name is Michael Hunter Jr., and he's got a lot to share. And so, Michael, love to welcome you to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just so excited about the things that you're doing. And before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, just give us just a quick idea on, who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I'm based out of the Kent Des Moines area, as you know, and I just finished up school at the University of Washington last summer. That was a huge milestone for me because I'm a first generational college student, and so um, huge milestone. So I came out rocking, and now I'm still working locally in my area, but I'm really fired up about finance and just breaking general curses. And um, the last, I want to say, about 2 or 3 years or so, has really given me some eye-opening experiences on what it takes to be successful. And so I'm on this journey, and just really appreciative of being on this platform today to be able to share with all the listeners today. And I really hope you guys get something out of tonight's talk.
Well, brother, I'm gonna tell you, man, that's amazing. Congratulations on graduating and all the things that you're doing right now, man. I just think it's phenomenal. That you're taking charge as part of the millennial generation. You're
Right.
getting things done, brother, and so that's good, man. You are to be commended, and I'm just excited to have you on the program today. So thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
So let's get right to it, man, because I'm sure that you've got some incredible things that you want to share with everyone. And I just really appreciate you wanting to take the time to do this. And so let's start by thinking about how people live their lives from a financial perspective. And right now, I mean, this time of the year, we're at the beginning. We just finished January into a new month, February. People got new visions. They've made resolutions, and hopefully they're
Right.
sticking to them, right?
Yes.
But from a financial perspective, right now for 2020, what would you say about that? What would you tell people right now?
Yeah. What I think starting out, it's really important to set some goals and to figure out what it's going to take to accomplish those goals. And so I'm big on writing things down on paper, right? I think that's a great accountability tool, and it really keeps you on track. And so when we talk about you know, getting ready for 2020 and expecting new things, we've got to ask ourselves, what did we not like maybe about so much in 2019 that we can change here in 2020? And I think that starts with getting it on paper, make sure it has a time frame on it, it's measurable, and then just kind of checking the boxes as the months go in. And I think that's a good start to getting some different outcomes here in 2020.
Yeah, one thing you said was I think you said checking the boxes, and that's an interesting concept. Because a lot of times people get going on their plans and their goals, things get in the way, and sometimes they don't happen. And so, from a financial perspective, that might not be as cool as say other goals when people are like making goals to maybe read some books by the end of the year or go to the gym X amount of times. But when it comes down to financial stuff and people are making those goals and making that to-do list and they don't make it or it don't happen, man, that could be detrimental from a financial perspective, man. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate your thoughts on that, man. But, it's really about how can people stay committed to their own financial progress, and with you and the millennial generation, you guys got a lot in front of you, and this is a different world now, than it was, let's say, when I was your age. And so I can totally appreciate your perspective that you just gave us. But a lot of people are really into this payment mentality. Okay,
Mm.
so this payment mentality of, okay, I'll just pay it, make payments, pay it off, whatever. And so I want you to speak to that. Let us know kind of what your thoughts are on this whole notion on payment mentality.
Yeah. Well, I'm big on being debt free. And
Yeah.
so when I think about the payment mentality. I just think of this never-ending cycle that we put ourselves in, right? And I think it really comes down to differentiating between our needs versus our wants.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out there that we would love to have, but we don't necessarily need those things, right? So, for example, we need a car to get around to place to get to our different workplaces, so we can make our money. But do we need a large car payment? No. Or, we, of course, we need food to eat and to nourish us and keep us going all throughout the day. But do we need to be going out 10 times, 20 times out of the month? No. And I'm guilty of that. That's probably one of my biggest quote unquote downfalls is eating out too much. And so I'm making some changes in my own personal diet to meal prep a little bit better and going with a grocery list and things of that nature to kind of help navigate those different areas of my finances. So when we talk about the payment mentality, let's do our best to get away from that so that we can ultimately put our place in financial abundance and financial freedom. And so, things like the car, the house, credit cards, those are all things that we kind of have control over. And so let's not put an anchor down, right? Let's float free in that regard. So
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And I really appreciate what you said, about the needs versus the wants. And, a lot of people, though, they can justify wants as a need.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And so I think that, it really boils down to, what you said about, okay, we need a car, but do we need a big car payment? Right.
Exactly.
And so it's just really about, people making those choices. And, one thing, I want to ask you that this is just an opinion of mine, and, I want to see, how you feel about this. So let's talk about the car for a moment, just for a quick second. Let's digress. And so does anybody really care what kind of car other people drive? I mean, really, you think so?
I mean, I think there's like a general narrative that you want to be in the flashy car so that you quote unquote get noticed.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think in that regards, yeah. But me
Okay.
personally, no. We flying up and down the highway. People are rarely taking that long to digest what kind of car you're in because they're just so focused on what you got going on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Yeah. I get it. So if you're in that state of mind where you want to be noticed, that sort of thing, then the kind of car you drive would make a difference in that regard. Okay, I get that. But here's the thing. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying how the car payment was close to $700.
Wow.
What happened was went to the dealership, and whatever they negotiated, they came back out with the payment almost being $700. I'm like, whoa. And I guess that's okay if the income is there to make that happen, cool. Yeah. But I'm just saying, man.
I agree.
I agree. So that maybe could have been a $400 payment, or something like that. So anyway, man, I'm just thinking about how the millennial generation is really thinking about their overall financial well-being. And if it's really important to have a $700 car payment versus a $400 car payment, sure, the car price difference might be, $5,000 or $10,000 difference in price of the car, and it could mean a different age car too, But in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? I mean, really, right?
No, not at all. And think about all those things you could be doing with such a big payment, right?
Right.
I'm sure we all have some obligations that we still need to get taken care of. And it's like, what could you be doing with an extra $700 a month, right?
Yeah.
When you really do the math on that can really help you out in a variety of ways. And so think about it. I would challenge our audience that are listening tonight to ask yourself those kind of questions when considering major purchases. Like, what else can you be doing with these funds?
Exactly. Now, in terms of debt, and I know that you are a definite proponent of getting out of debt,
Yes,
and I've heard you say that many times in our conversations we've had. And again, tonight, this is what you're talking about. But what are your thoughts, about people dealing with their debt and moving away from that payment mentality that you mentioned earlier? And so what would you say to that? Because it's so easy. It's very easy to get into debt. I mean, it's like, cool, get into debt, make payments, but in terms of your thoughts about that, tell us how what's your opinion on dealing with debt and moving away from that payment mentality?
Well, I'm not definitely not here to sugarcoat anything. I think it's important that you look at that debt head on, right? Sometimes people are a little bit ashamed of that debt and they don't want to look at it, or they put it off to the back burner and just let it get into collections or whatever the story may be. I think it's important for us as individuals to tackle it head on. Say, hey, this got to stop today. So I'm going to list my debts from least to greatest. We're going to build some momentum by starting with the smallest one and working our way up. And that momentum will really put us in a better spot. It ultimately comes down to you just taking control of what's going on in your life, because, whether we want to believe it or not, we have some part in putting ourselves in that position, right? So that would be some steps that I would take initially when I'm thinking about how am I going to overcome this burden, this debt, is to get it down on paper, and just tackle it one by one and watch the transformation take place right before your very eyes.
Yeah, I love it. You said just make a decision to stop today. That's cut and dry. And I wish that people could have the kind of willpower to do that, just to say, I'm done with debt. I'm going to start paying everything off and not incur any more debt going forward. And obviously, that help the credit reports, obviously, and help the credit scores go up as debt goes down. But the point is that, it's all about a mindset, and this is what I hear you saying. But Michael, brother, right now, we're at the beginning of the year. People are getting their tax refunds right now. And they're using those tax refunds, to kind of launch them into whatever kind of thing or purchase that they've been thinking about. And so, what's your opinions on how those tax refunds should be spent?
Well, I think we should start by saying what did we do with last year's tax return, and maybe the year before that. That'll give you a clear indication on I guess where to start. But for the younger audience, time is really on your side, and so I would say to accumulate, to save, to set that stuff aside, set that money aside for a lot longer of a rainy day. That would be a great decision to make, to kind of put yourselves in that smaller category of people of success, people of financial freedom, and being ultimately debt free. So maybe we put off the vacation, or we put off buying the fancy shoes, the nice shoes, this go around, so that we can set ourselves up to really enjoy some things down the road.
I totally get it, and I agree with you on that. But let's do one thing. You said saving up for a rainy day. So from your perspective, what is a rainy day?
I think it's important to treat yourself. This financial journey is long. It's not instant. It's not right away. And so you've got to reward yourself as time goes along, whether that be a nice dinner out, or a small vacation around the coast, whatever might be your thing. Feel free to treat yourself, but just make sure it falls in line with your goals and in line with your time frame that you've got set out for yourself, because we don't want to keep having minor setbacks, so that prolongs ultimately what we're trying to obtain. So that would probably be a rainy day. Rainy day for me would definitely be some traveling. That's for sure. I'd love to get on that airplane whenever I possibly can. It helps when you have family that works for the airlines as well, but that would be something that would be classified as like a rainy day.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So something that you're putting off for another time to do. That's understandable. One thing that I learned growing into when I was coming up young in my career, I was hearing that a person should be setting aside 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, in an emergency fund account. And, what I'm finding is that a lot of people, can't do that in a short period of time. I mean, it takes a long time. Maybe it might take over a year to save up 3 to 6 months worth of expenses and then put it in the bank and leave it alone. So I know that it's a very noble concept, but the reality of it is, some people can't do it right away. And so what would be some of your suggestions for people that would help them to kind of free up cash to start putting money away for those days?
I think it starts with looking at the budget you do have,
Yeah.
and maybe seeing where we can subtract some expenses. So
Yeah.
whether that be, we're spending a lot more on gas, doing a lot of traveling, or again, the whole eating out, maybe we can, go grocery shopping a little bit more, or design some type of meal plan where we are able to save some funds in order to allocate them in our saving budget. So it's going to be different from person to person, but I think it starts with figuring out where your sweet spot is on just how much you can save at one in particular point in time, and kind of starting from there and saying, hey, where can I minus some of these expenses so that I can add to my savings funds, or my particular goal. So
Man, I love it. You said find that sweet spot.
yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
sweet spot of money that people can save. Obviously, so it doesn't hurt them while they're doing it, and they don't miss the money, so that they can continue to do it over and over, so that the accumulation does happen. I think that's great advice, man. Find that sweet spot. Well, Brother Michael, man, this has been great. I really appreciate your wisdom and your perspective. And, I am 100% supportive of you, really leading the charge for other men and women your age who are up and coming, trying to make it happen, in their lives. And so I just want to say thank you for being on the program today, man. This has been so awesome to hear from you.
No, it's been great to be here. I thank you so much for the opportunity. I really do, again, hope that the audience was able to get some things and take any piece of advice I was able to give today and immediately apply it to their situation. And that's what gets me going. That's what gets me fired up, is giving back to others and empowering others, and ultimately us all getting there on one accord. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And, our plan is to have you back on the show regularly,
Oh, wow.
because I believe that your perspective is very good. And, I want to continue to, really just explore these topics with you as we continue on throughout this year. And, it's going to be amazing as we begin to hear from others, the people that we care about, the audience, and the people that tune into this broadcast, to really give them a perspective, again, from your point of view. I think from that millennial perspective is really going to help out, because right now I know that's one of the fastest growing populations here, in our country. You guys are coming up. You guys are the next leaders that will be taking over, handling things, and so I really want to continue to really have your voice be part of this program. So thank you, brother. I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
One more thing. I feel
Yes.
so horrible about this, but I wanted to share this
Yeah.
with the audience this evening. Books, reading has been a huge reason why I've been able to experience some of my own personal success. And I feel like that is extremely important in anybody's financial journey, is to read nonfiction, financial mindset type of book. So I did have 3 books that I wanted to share. I didn't get around to it. I'll make it real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
One of them right here is called How to Motivate, Manage, and Market Yourself. This is one book. It's extremely short read, but nothing but golden nuggets in this one here. Another one that I've read within the past year or two that has really had a tremendous impact on my mindset is this book here called How Successful People Think by John C. Maxwell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, another short read.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the good stuff needs to be strung out. And so I love when somebody can put it nice and small for you, and give you, a good feast on that good information about finances, how to get things rocking and rolling in your
Yeah.
personal life. And then this last one here is The Legacy Journey by Dave Ramsey.
Yes.
Another short read. I just got done reading this book not too long ago, and man, it's just a lot of good information. And again, I can't harp on how important it is to just get in those books.
Wow. Thank
Yeah.
you. Those are some great recommendations. All three of those authors are amazing authors. And brother, thank you so much for making those recommendations. So y'all heard it. There's three books, three recommendations, short reads. You know, knowledge is power. You know, so I really appreciate the recommendations. And what we'll do is you'll find the titles and the links to those books down below here on the page here. If you're on YouTube, it'll be there. And, you know, it'll also be in the description here in the podcast. But the point is that we want to make sure that you can get a hold of those books and just check out the knowledge and wisdom that is there. So thank you, Brother Michael, for making those recommendations. And you know what? Again, I appreciate you for being on the program.
Yes, sir. Until next time.
All right. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And until the next time, you know, please be inspired.